Hey guys, and welcome to the final part. We started today with a short hike across a huge obsidian lava flow. Obsidian is black volcanic glass, and when weathered it turns the exposed rock to a dark and sometimes lustrous sheen. This type of lava is extremely viscous and flows slowly downhill like treacle, forming these wavy patterns. Seemingly out of nowhere, to the side of the lava flow, is this gorgeous field full of Alaskan cotton. The mountains here are some of the most scenic in Iceland, but we had to move on to the south coast. We're now at the famous basalt sea stacks and beach near the village of Vik. Lucky for me, most tourists didn't venture far up the beach, allowing me to get a great shot of the stacks. Not far down the road we stopped at Skogafoss, and it's certainly quite a sight. We were rushed for time here though, so I quickly snapped photos and videos. And only when getting back home I realised that my favourite photo of the entire trip was taken here. An hour or so driving inland, we arrived at Thorsmork, our last lodge accommodation of the trip. This narrow pass definitely tested my balance for sure, but the view at the top was totally worth it. The mountain in the background is the well-known volcano that erupted in 2010, putting a halt to air traffic in Europe, and I'm not even going to attempt to say it, so here's it written down. After that climb, nothing better than a cold can of beer and a few hours just to chill out. But soon we were off again, this time visiting a tall, narrow canyon nearby. Another sunset and end to a great day. Still a lot to see on our way back to Reykjavik. This is what remains of a glacial lagoon. Taking the drone up high, I got a great view of this little waterfall that was well out of view from the ground. Here at the bottom you can see a large moraine, a tall ridge of deposited debris formed by the glacier before it retreated back up the mountain. This is the final waterfall on visit on my trip called Seljalandfoss. You can enter a small cave behind it, which makes it quite special, but I was too busy searching for hidden treasure, so maybe next time. And now back where we started, and the end of a remarkable tour with volcano discovery. But the adventure wasn't over for me. One of these 3 small volcanoes in the distance is truly unique. Nowhere else on Earth can you venture down into the magma chamber of a volcano. I've always wanted to do this since seeing it on the BBC documentary, and this was my chance. After 45 minutes of hiking across 3 lava fields, we arrived at the hut, got our safety gear on, and then climbed up to the crater. The elevator down is a modified window cleaning rig, and it takes about 6 minutes to descend the 120 meters into the chamber. As you could imagine, it's cold, dark and wet inside, and it's still not fully understood as to why this magma chamber is emptied and hollow. Looking up at the sides of the chamber, you can see dark rock formations. These are dikes where magma squeezes up between the base rock to fill the chamber. Seemingly just as soon as we arrived, we were going back up. I could have done with at least a couple of hours down there, but nevertheless it was worth every penny. You can't experience this anywhere else on Earth, at least until we find another one. This is the day that I'd been looking forward to the most. I mentioned the Laki eruption earlier, and this was my chance to visit it up close. Thor from Thor Photography picked me up early, and we drove 5 hours to reach it. Letting some air out of the tires was a good idea because the roads getting there were pretty rough. We climbed Laki to get an overview of the fissure, but the weather soon turned on us and it started to piss it down. The fog and clouds rolled in and blocked much of the view. Still, it was an amazing experience and something I'd wanted to do since studying volcanoes. Another story that's told in every good volcano book took place on a small island just off of the southwest of Iceland, on the Island of Heimaey. Most of the island's 4,500 or so inhabitants are here to support the fishing industry, and the natural harbour, formed from the idyllic natural landscape, makes this location particularly important to the Icelandic economy. In 1973, the volcano Eldfell burst into life and started what was a 3-month eruption. The lava flow destroyed half of the town and would have sealed off the natural harbour, but the townsfolk and others from the mainland fought back in one of only a few examples of humans taming nature. They pumped seawater and used fire hoses to spray cold water at the advancing lava. Eventually, the cooled wall of lava acted as a diversion, which saved more of the town from destruction. The harbour was saved too, and ended up actually being more protected. Little remains of the destruction, but what I'm assuming are street signs have been built on top of the thick lava flows. And some debris has been left as a reminder to what happened. The vast sea stacks are a haven for birds. Some 8 million puffins make this island their home. And yet somehow, I didn't see any. Well, I'm not sure this one counts. Then it was time for the ferry ride back to the mainland, and what was to be the end of an incredible trip. Filming by yourself can feel pretty stupid at times, and I'm not sure why I thought this arms out move looked any good at all. And it's not always easy to frame yourself. To say I took a lot of gear is definitely an understatement, and that meant my typical night looks something like this. But for the most part everything worked great, except on the first day when my new drone's gimbal wouldn't tilt down, but after a factory reset everything was working again. And what looks like a shot far away from anyone, all we have to do is pan the camera around and yes, tourists, lots of tourists. But since I'm one, I'll have to let that one slip. Right guys, thanks for watching and I'll see you next time.